What happens when a usually calm, quiet, and composed Hollywood legend suddenly drops a comment on live television that even Sunny Hostin doesn't know how to respond to? Make sure to subscribe to the Star Talks and like and comment for more talk show coverage. The cameras open on the studio as the hosts settle into their chairs. There's an immediate buzz in the audience, the kind of soft but growing chatter that happens when a guest walks out who everyone genuinely likes. Keanu Reeves steps onto the stage with that familiar modest wave, his head slightly down like he's still not used to applause even after all these years. The cheers get louder, and Joy Behar, who's sitting nearest to him, claps exaggeratedly, joking under her breath. All right, save some of that for when we actually ask him something good. Keanu laughs politely, taking his seat. Sunny Hostin leans forward with that professional but focused look she gets when she's ready to go deeper than the typical celebrity fluff. Whoopi looks relaxed, Sarah Haynes smiles like she's already curious, and the energy feels warm, at least for now. Whoopi starts off easy. Keanu, you're in a new phase of your career. You're producing, you're acting, you're doing this mix of quiet and loud projects. What's fueling you now? Keanu nods thoughtfully for a moment. Honestly, gratitude. I know that sounds simple, but I'm grateful I still get to tell stories, grateful that people care. And grateful for peace. That's kind of my theme lately. The audience gives a soft "oh," and even Joy tilts her head. Peace, she repeats. We could use some of that at this table. Sunny smiles, but only slightly. You know, you talk a lot about kindness and peace in interviews, Keanu. But your movies, especially the latest one, they're extremely violent. There's a kind of tension between who you are and the stories you tell. Do you ever struggle with that? Already, the air shifts a little. Not hostile, but more serious. Keanu pauses, looks at Sunny, and nods slowly. I think about it, yeah. His calm, measured. But storytelling is not the same as a personal philosophy. Actions on screen don't represent what I believe in personally. I think people understand that. Sunny doesn't pull back. Most do. But some don't. And there's a growing conversation about responsibility. What actors promote, what characters they play, what messages those portrayals send. I'm curious if you think you have any responsibility there. He raises an eyebrow slightly. Responsibility, yes. But control? No. People bring their own experiences to stories. So I try to choose roles that challenge me artistically, not roles that define me morally. There's a flicker of tension. Not a fight. Just two people who see the world differently. Sarah jumps in gently. I actually love hearing an actor talk about that balance. Because it's true, the audience does shape the interpretation. Joy folds her arms, adding, I mean, we watch people kill each other on screen and then, what, expect the actor not to enjoy cheesecake because the character didn't? It's just acting. Whoopi gives Joy a side eye. That was not the analogy I thought you were going for. The audience laughs. The atmosphere lightens. For a moment. Sunny circles back. Let me put it a different way. You have this almost mythic reputation for being the nicest man in Hollywood. And I think sometimes the public expects you to be perfect. Does that bother you? Now Keanu shifts in his seat. He actually looks uncomfortable, not in a hostile way, but in a very human way. I don't think anyone should be held to that, he says quietly. I'm human. I have off days. I make mistakes. I get irritated. Like everyone else. Sunny nods lightly but continues. But when you speak about peace and gratitude, and then you say people shouldn't expect you to be perfect, doesn't that sound a little contradictory? The audience reacts with a low ripple, the kind of soft "oh" that means they feel the tension building. Whoopi looks at Sunny, then at Keanu, then gestures with her hand as if to say, the floor is yours. Keanu leans forward, rests his elbows on his knees for a moment. His tone stays gentle, but there's a firmness underneath it now. Sunny, he says, gratitude isn't perfection. It's awareness. I'm grateful because I know life isn't perfect. Peace isn't the absence of struggle. It's choosing how you move through it. The studio gets quiet. Not uncomfortable, curious. Sunny nods, but her expression stays analytical. I hear you. I do. But that brings me to something else. She glances at her card. Recently, during your press tour, you said something about people being too eager to judge without understanding. Some interpreted that as a criticism of journalists, actually. I'm just wondering, who were you referring to? Joy leans back. Sarah raises her eyebrows. Whoopi looks amused. The audience does that soft inhale again. Keanu straightens up. I wasn't talking about journalists specifically. Sunny presses a little. But you can see how it sounded like that, right? He gives her a measured look. And then he says the comment, the unexpected comment, the one that changes the room instantly. Sunny, sometimes people ask questions not to understand, but to confirm what they already think. And that's when a conversation stops being a conversation. The audience reacts immediately, loud, surprised, mixed between shock and applause. Joy's jaw literally drops open. Sawa says wow under her breath. Whoopi starts laughing, but not in a mocking way, more like she cannot believe he just said that out loud. Sunny blinks. Her face shows a flash of something, not anger exactly, but stunned surprise. She sits back for a moment, adjusting herself, regrouping. The slight tension in her jaw is visible even to the viewers at home. Well, she says, her voice steady but noticeably cooler. That's quite a statement. Keanu smiles gently, not smug, not confrontational. It's just an observation. Not aimed at you. Just something I've noticed over the years. Sunny's lips tighten slightly. She nods, but the air between them is thick now, not explosive, but undeniably tense. Sawa tries to break the moment. Keanu, I think what you said is something a lot of people feel in different spaces, online, at work, even in families. Joy adds, yeah, and especially on this show, waving her hand at the table. Whoopi jumps in with her classic ease. All right, everybody breathe. We're having a conversation. Nobody's getting voted off the island. The audience laughs again, but the undercurrent remains. Sunny looks like she's deciding whether to respond directly or let it simmer. Keanu senses it too. His hands fold in his lap, his posture calm, almost meditative. Joy leans forward and says, well, we're not done with you yet, Keanu. This just got interesting. And the camera slowly zooms toward the table as everyone prepares for the deeper, more intense part of the discussion that's clearly coming next. The laughter fades out, and the camera settles on Keanu, who takes a slow breath as if preparing himself for whatever direction the conversation may go. Sunny adjusts the papers in front of her, but the way she does it feels more like she's resetting her composure. She looks up with a polite, professional expression. Keanu, since we're talking about understanding and conversations, I want to bring up something else. Her tone is calm, but the audience picks up the slight edge in it. During your last interview, you mentioned that people should ask better questions. A lot of viewers interpreted that as dismissive. I want to understand what you meant by that. Joy winces slightly, like she knows this could go some way prickly. Saya sits up straighter. Whoopi folds her hands, watching both of them carefully. Keanu nods slowly. I said that because sometimes interviews feel rushed, surface level, like there isn't time to really talk about something meaningful. Sunny keeps her gaze steady. But who decides what's meaningful? You or the interviewer? The audience reacts, not loudly, but enough that you can feel the shift. Keanu takes a moment before answering. He's calm, careful. Both. It's a conversation, right? So we share the space. But meaningful doesn't mean comfortable. It just means honest. Sunny leans forward slightly. And do you feel this conversation is honest? The audience murmurs. Sawa's eyes widen. Joy lets out a soft, oh boy. Keanu doesn't flinch. Yes, he says gently. I do. There's a strange calm that settles after that, the kind that happens when the tension becomes clear but controlled. Sawa chimes in, trying to diffuse the heat a bit. Keanu, you've talked a lot about being reflective and introspective. Do you think that sometimes makes people misinterpret you? Because you're soft-spoken. Some might assume you're avoiding something when maybe you're just being intentional. He smiles, grateful for the shift. Yes, absolutely. I think silence scares people sometimes. But silence doesn't mean avoidance. Sometimes it's just thinking. Joy taps the table. I wish more politicians did that. Whoopi gives Joy a sharp side eye. Stop provoking people. The audience laughs again, and for a moment the tension dips. Sunny glances at Keanu again, her tone softening a hair. You know, I actually appreciate that answer. But I do want to ask you something personal, and you can choose not to answer if you want. Keanu nods kindly. Ask anything. Sunny hesitates, visibly, before speaking. You've been very private about your life. But recently, you've been more open. Talking about grief. About boundaries. About not wanting to be treated as some untouchable figure. Why now? The studio goes still. Even Joy stops joking. Keanu takes a deep breath. Because people turn you into an idea. And that can feel isolating. When I talk about things like grief or boundaries, I'm reminding people that I'm not an idea. I'm a person. The audience reacts warmly, sympathetic murmurs, a few claps. Sunny's voice softens again. I think that honesty is what people love about you. But then she adds, which is why what you said earlier surprised me. There it is. The shift again. The audience knows it. The hosts know it. Keanu looks at her, patient. Surprised you how? Sunny crosses her legs, thoughtful but firm. When you said people ask questions to confirm what they already think. That's a pretty strong accusation. Especially on a show like this, where we ask direct questions because we want clarity, not confirmation bias. Joy lifts her hand. I mean, sometimes we want confirmation bias. Whoopi cuts her off immediately. Joy. The audience erupts in laughter, which buys Sunny a few seconds to gather her next words. Sunny continues, steady and composed. So I want to know, did you feel that I was asking questions to confirm something I already believed? A hush falls. The air turns heavy. Keanu doesn't answer immediately. He folds his hands, thinks deeply, then looks directly at Sunny. I think you ask tough questions. And sometimes tough questions come with an angle. He speaks gently, not confrontational. But I don't think you're trying to corner me. I think you're trying to get something real. And I respect that. Sunny's expression softens, genuinely this time. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sawa visibly exhales in relief. Joy leans back like she just dodged a bullet. Whoopi raises an eyebrow, amused by how gracefully Keanu navigated the tension. But then Keanu continues, unexpectedly. But I also think, he adds, that sometimes the energy of a question tells me more than the question itself. The audience reacts again, louder this time. Surprise. Curiosity. A hint of shock. Sunny's eyes widen, clearly taken aback. The energy. Keanu nods. Yes. Tone. Intention. What the question is trying to reveal versus what it's assuming. Sometimes that's very different. Sunny leans forward again, her voice still controlled but undeniably challenged. And what energy do you feel right now? The room freezes. Keanu stays calm, almost too calm. I feel sincerity. And scrutiny. Both can exist at the same time. That answer hits the table like a gentle but undeniable weight. Joy puts a hand over her chest dramatically. Lord, his philosophical. Whoopi snorts. His zen. That's the word. The audience claps and laughs, but Sunny stays focused, her eyes locked on Keanu with a mix of respect, curiosity, and something like disbelief. Sunny takes a breath and speaks carefully. Well, since we're being honest, I'll tell you what I feel from you. The audience leans in. I feel guarded, she says. Not hostile. Not defensive. Just guarded. Keanu nods, not offended. That's fair. Sunny seems almost surprised at how easily he accepts it. Keanu adds, but being guarded doesn't mean being closed. It means choosing what's worth opening up about. Sarah raises a finger. I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. You can be open and guarded at the same time. It's human. Sunny nods at Sarah, agreeing. It is. And I think the audience sometimes forgets celebrities are human. Keanu gives a small smile. I forget it too sometimes. Laughter fills the studio again. Even Sunny chuckles. But before the air fully clears, Joy swoops in with her trademark bluntness. Keanu, I gotta ask, did you expect this interview to get this deep? Because usually people come here to promote a movie, not to have a therapy session. Whoopi pats Joy's arm. Stop making everything weird. Keanu laughs genuinely. I didn't expect anything. I'm just going with the flow. Sunny studies him again, not adversarial, but deeply curious. Well, since you're flowing, I want to talk about something else. She glances at her notes. You recently said in another interview that you feel like you're entering a new chapter in your life. What does that mean? Keanu looks down for a second, reflecting. Then he raises his head. It means letting go of things that don't serve me anymore, he says. Expectations. External pressure. The need to please everyone. I'm learning to choose peace intentionally, not passively. The audience applauds, loudly this time. Sunny nods, and there's real admiration in her eyes. That's powerful. But then she adds with a half smile. Although I will say, you didn't exactly choose the most peaceful way to start this interview. The entire table erupts into laughter, including Keanu. He shakes his head. I didn't mean to make things tense. Sunny waves it off. Oh, you didn't make it tense alone. We're a group project in that department. Whoopi laughs so hard she has to wipe her eyes. True words have never been spoken. The audience claps, the atmosphere warms again, and Keanu visibly relaxes into his chair, the earlier tension settling into something more open and conversational. But the producers signal that they are heading into an even more direct segment after the break, the kind that always stirs reactions. Whoopi turns to Keanu. Don't get too comfortable. We've got more questions coming. And some of them, she pauses, widening her eyes for dramatic effect, are not as zen as you are. The audience laughs and cheers as the camera begins to zoom out, capturing the mix of tension, relief, curiosity, and unspoken anticipation lingering around the table. Because everyone, hosts, audience, and Keanu himself, knows the most intense part of this conversation is still ahead. The music fades out, the cameras return from the brief commercial break, and the audience settles back in, buzzing with anticipation. The energy in the room feels different now, not hostile, not chaotic, but charged. Something happened before the break, something subtle but real, and everyone senses that whatever comes next is going to push this moment even further. Whoopi sits forward as the camera lands on her. Welcome back, everybody. We are here with Keanu Reeves, who has managed to make this table both very introspective and very tense at the same time. She gestures dramatically with her hands, and the audience laughs. Keanu smiles, leaning back in his chair a little, but his posture still has that careful alertness, like he knows another direct question is coming. Sunny doesn't waste time. Keanu, before the break, we talked about your new chapter, letting go of expectations and pressure. I want to dig a little deeper into that, because a lot of your fans constantly praise you for being humble, soft-spoken, gentle. That reputation follows you everywhere. Does that create pressure for you? Keanu takes a slow breath. Yes, it does. The audience reacts, surprised at the bluntness. Sarah looks genuinely curious. Pressure how? He folds his hands in front of him. When people expect you to always be calm, or always kind, or always gentle, it becomes a box. And sometimes you feel like you have to stay in that box to keep people comfortable. Sunny nods with a seriousness that shows she relates. That's a very real thing, especially for public figures. Keanu continues, but I'm a human. I get frustrated. I get tired. I get angry like anyone else. Joy squints at him. You get angry? Really? Like out loud? Keanu laughs. Yes, Joy. I get angry out loud. The audience breaks into laughter, but Sunny doesn't. She tilts her head, one eyebrow raised, studying him. Do you feel angry now? She asks. The studio falls dead silent. Keanu looks at her for a long moment, not offended, not startled, just thoughtful. No, he says softly. I'm not angry. I'm present. That's different. Sunny nods slowly. Fair enough. Sarah jumps in, trying to bring some warmth into the air again. Keanu, can I ask something lighter before Sunny jumps into round 4? Sunny throws her a playful glare. Oh, come on. Sarah gestures toward Keanu. Your fans love how grounded you are. They love that you take the subway, that you give your seat to people, that you interact with fans like real humans. Has that ever created an awkward moment where someone expected too much from you in public? Keanu chuckles. Yes, many times. Joy claps her hands. Tell us one. Keanu rubs his face like he's remembering. Once, someone came up to me crying, which happens sometimes, and they asked me to tell their ex-boyfriend that he made a mistake. The audience roars with laughter. Even Sunny cracks a smile. Keanu adds, I told them, very gently, I don't know him. And they said, yes, but he'll listen to you. The table shakes with laughter. Even Whoopi leans back, hand over her face. But just as the mood begins to fully lighten, Sunny clears her throat. The audience senses it, that shift, and the laughter fades slowly. Keanu, she says, returning to her earlier tone, I want to bring up something a little more serious. Recently, you said in an interview that you're tired of being asked the same kinds of questions. That interview went viral because your tone was different, more assertive, maybe even frustrated. What was going on there? Joy immediately groans. Sunny. Saya puts a hand over her mouth like, here we go again. Whoopi simply lowers her chin and watches. Keanu doesn't rush. He takes another long breath, choosing his words carefully. I was tired, he says simply. That's it. Human tired. Too many interviews in a row. Too many similar questions. And I slipped. Sunny asks, slipped how? I spoke too quickly. With too much honesty and not enough patience. The audience murmurs, some sympathetic, some unsure. Sunny leans in. But do you regret it? Keanu pauses. The silence stretches just long enough to make everyone uncomfortable. No, he finally says. I don't regret being honest. Sunny lifts her chin slightly, even if some people found it rude. Keanu looks at her directly. Honesty isn't rudeness. Delivery can be rude, sure. But honesty, that's clarity. The audience reacts, a wave of soft ooze, followed by light applause. Sunny isn't moved. But don't you think some honesty can hurt people? Keanu nods. Yes, but dishonesty hurts too. And pretending to be okay when you're not. That hurts the person pretending. Sarah interjects. I think we all get that. Especially in public life. Sunny acknowledges that with a glance but turns quickly back to Keanu. So when you said earlier that people ask questions to confirm what they already think, was that honesty or was that frustration? This time, the tension spikes again, quickly, sharply. Keanu doesn't look away. Both. The audience gasps softly. Joy puts both hands in the air like she's surrendering. Whoopi whispers, but loudly enough for her MIC to catch it. Oh, Lord. Sunny blinks. Both. Yes, Keanu says. Sometimes frustration reveals the truth. And sometimes the truth reveals frustration. Sunny leans back in her chair, processing that. The audience is dead quiet. Sarah shakes her head in disbelief. How are you so calm right now? Keanu smiles. I'm listening. Whoopi laughs. Teach us. Sunny finally exhales, then narrows her eyes with a mix of respect and challenge. Keanu, are you uncomfortable with tough questions? He answers instantly. No. Are you uncomfortable with my questions? She presses. Another silence. Then Keanu says, I'm not uncomfortable. I'm aware. Sunny tilts her head, clearly thrown off. Aware of what? Keanu gestures subtly around the table. Of the dynamics. Of the energy. Of where the questions are coming from and where they are trying to lead. Sarah whispers to Joy, this is like watching a Jedi interview. Joy whispers back, he's 4 seconds away from floating. The audience laughs, but the central tension remains. Sunny and Keanu still locked into this strange, respectful, intense exchange that feels like a chess match disguised as a talk show conversation. Sunny presses again, her tone not aggressive but undeniably firm. So when I ask direct questions, what do you think I'm trying to do? Keanu takes his time before he answers. I think you're trying to understand me, but I also think you're trying to test me. The audience reacts loudly, applause mixed with gasps. Sunny doesn't look offended, just intrigued. Test you how? To see if I'm who people think I am, he says softly, or if I'm hiding something behind the calm. Sunny opens her mouth, then closes it. He hit something true, something she wasn't expecting. Sarah murmurs, wow. Joy fans herself dramatically like she's overheated. Whoopi just shakes her head. Keanu, you're something else. Sunny leans forward again, but this time her tone is slower, more deliberate. And are you? Hiding something? Keanu looks at her with a kind of gentle seriousness. Everyone is hiding something, Sunny. The question is why? The audience erupts, applause, cheers, soft gasps, the whole room alive. Sunny sits back, stunned, not offended, not angry, just genuinely shocked by the openness of the answer. She nods once, slowly. That's a fair point. Whoopi finally steps in to break the intensity. All right, we need to take a breath before the table catches fire. We're going to go deeper into this after the break, because clearly this conversation has turned into a masterclass. The audience laughs and claps, the tension finally releasing a little. Keanu sits back, finally relaxing into his chair. Sunny looks down at her notes, then back up at him, still processing everything he said. Sarah rubs her forehead like she's emotionally tired. Joy looks delighted, like she's loving every second. As the camera zooms out and the audience cheers, the sense in the room is unmistakable. The final segment, the next round, is going to be the most revealing one yet. The camera glides back to the table, catching the hosts mid-adjustment, Sunny smoothing her notes, Sarah taking a slow sip of water, Joy whispering something mischievous to Whoopi. The audience is buzzing, whispering, shifting in their seats, waiting for the next spark. Whoopi looks directly into the camera as the applause fades. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, I don't even know how to summarize what you missed. She gestures wildly at the table. Philosophy, tension, therapy, Jedi mind tricks. We've had it all. The audience laughs, grateful for the reset. Keanu sits centered, calm, almost serene, but still carrying that sense of alertness beneath the surface, like he knows this last stretch is going to press him in new ways. Sunny turns her body slightly toward him. Keanu, before the break we were talking about honesty versus frustration, and you said something that stuck with everyone here, that everybody is hiding something. She pauses. What did you mean by that? Keanu looks thoughtful. I mean, everyone has parts of themselves they don't show. Sometimes out of fear. Sometimes out of protection. Sometimes because the world doesn't feel safe enough. Sarah nods sympathetically. That's so true. Joy, of course, jumps in. I hide my good jokes for special occasions. Whoopi immediately shuts her down. Joy, this is not your special occasion. The audience breaks into laughter as Joy dramatically clutches her chest. Sunny brings them back. But when you talk about the world not feeling safe enough, does that apply to interviews? To moments like this? Keanu takes a small breath. Sometimes. Yes. Sarah leans forward. Right now. He looks at her. Slow, gentle, honest. A little. The audience reacts. A soft, collective O. Sunny's eyes widen slightly. Because of the questions. Or the setting. Keanu answers with honesty that hits harder than expected. Because this is live. And live conversations can turn into sound bites. And sound bites can turn into misunderstandings. Whoopi nods slowly. That's real. Sunny inhales deeply. Do you feel misunderstood right now? He shakes his head. No. I feel examined. Joy blurts. Well, that's our job. Whoopi smacks her arm lightly. Not like that, Joy. The audience laughs again, but Sunny remains serious. When you say examined, do you mean judged? Keanu chooses his words carefully. Not judged. Just watched closely. Sunny presses. Is that uncomfortable for you? He looks right at her. It depends on who's watching. The studio freezes. Whoopi's eyebrows nearly hit her hairline. Sarah's jaw drops slightly. Joy lets out an audible "oh wow." Sunny blinks, caught off guard again, but steadies herself. Okay, so who at this table makes you feel watched closely in a way that affects you? The audience gasps. It's bold. Direct. Classic Sunny. Keanu doesn't answer immediately. He looks around the table, at Joy's expectant grin, Sarah's kind curiosity, Whoopi's amused but knowing stare, then back at Sunny. You, he says softly. The room erupts, gasps, murmurs, a few claps, the kind of reaction that shakes the air. Sunny's eyebrows lift. Me? Keanu nods. Yes. You ask questions with precision. And sometimes precision feels like pressure. Sarah looks between them, stunned. But you're still calm. Keanu smiles gently. Calm doesn't mean I'm not feeling things. The audience applauds loudly. They love that line. Sunny recovers her composure, but there's a new tone in her voice, a mix of admiration and humility. Well, thank you for saying that. And I hope you know that my questions come from a place of wanting clarity, not confrontation. Keanu nods. I do. And I respect it. The energy softens, not completely, but noticeably. Sarah jumps in to balance the mood. Keanu, what would you say is the most misunderstood thing about you? Keanu thinks for a moment. That being quiet means being weak. The audience gasps again, but this time it's emotional, supportive, touched. Joy puts a hand over her heart. Oh, honey. Keanu continues. Silence can be strength. Stillness can be strength. You don't have to be loud to be confident. Whoopi points at him. Say it again for the people in the back. Sarah nods enthusiastically. Yes. Yes. That's so real. Sunny smiles, a real smile this time, soft and genuine. I think a lot of people needed to hear that. Keanu gives a small nod. Me too. There's a warmth forming in the room now, not a full release of tension, but something more grounded. Real. Sunny takes a breath and looks down at her notes. I want to close with something a little more direct, since we've been in the deep end already. Keanu lifts his eyebrows. There's a deeper end. Laughter fills the studio, but Sunny stays focused. You said earlier that you're learning to choose peace intentionally, she says. What does peace look like for you now? Keanu pauses, a long, thoughtful pause. Then he answers with a quiet honesty that catches everyone off guard. Peace looks like not needing to prove anything. The audience goes silent, stunned by the simplicity, the weight, the truth. Keanu adds, peace looks like letting go of what people expect me to be, and just being who I am. Sarah presses a hand to her chest, emotional. Joy wipes an imaginary tear. Whoopi nods solemnly. Sunny's voice softens. That's beautiful. Keanu smiles gently. It's the truth. Whoopi looks at the camera. Well, I think that's a good place to leave this before we all start crying. Keanu, thank you for being here. Thank you for being open. And thank you for giving us a conversation we did not expect today. The audience erupts into applause, loud, appreciative, standing for some. Keanu bows his head humbly, clearly touched by the reaction. As the applause fades, the show wraps, but the tension, the emotion, and the surprise linger in the air long after they cut to commercial. Aftermath on-air summary. As the cameras cool down, the hosts gather their notes. Sunny leans toward Keanu, her expression warm. No hostility, no leftover tension, just mutual respect. Thank you, she says quietly, for being candid. Keanu nods. Thank you for the questions. Joy hugs him. Sarah shakes his hand warmly. Whoopi pats his shoulder. The room feels lighter, like something meaningful just happened, something raw and unexpected. Audience reaction. People exit the studio buzzing loudly. That was intense. I've never seen Keanu so open. Sunny went in, but he handled it beautifully. He stunned her with that line. You could hear the air shift. Groups gather in hallways rehashing their favorite moments, replaying the tension, quoting Keanu's calm but powerful answers. Social media reaction, within hours. Clips immediately go viral. #Keanu on The View. #Sunny and Keanu. #calm doesn't mean weak. #the Star Talks clip. Trending comments. Keanu handled those questions like a philosopher. I've never seen Sunny that taken aback. He said everyone is hiding something. He stunned her with that "it depends who's watching" line. Most intense interview The View has had all year. Millions of views. Thousands of duets. People analyzing every expression. What happened after the show? Producers reportedly checked in on Keanu afterward. He said he felt good, actually, and praised the hosts for a real conversation. Sunny posted a photo with him hours later. Challenging conversations are the most meaningful ones. Thank you, Keanu. Keanu reposted it with a simple respect. Entertainment sites recap the interview as surprisingly raw, emotionally charged, and one of the most revealing talk show moments of the year. If you watched this and felt the tension, the honesty, and the emotion of this unexpected moment, share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to the Star Talks for more real talk show stories.